Hey folks, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the next part of our weekly Junjo Romantica discussion videos. Thanks so much for enjoying last week's discussion video, by the way. I was not expecting it to go over as well as it did, although to some of you, I am now a wicked Fudanshi, or Fujoshi, or Fudanshi. I mean, I'm a Fudanshi, but Fujo is the whatever. I thought that was funny. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into the second episode of the show. But before we do, I want to give a big thank you to those of you who shared last week's video over on Twitter. At It's Tired Andy, at Kitsune Katie, at AnimeFan3535, at D Cherry Wolf, at Kisa-chan94, at Bree Van G, at Sirius9752, at A Snapshots, at JNTheo21, and at The Lin Wick. Thanks so much for sharing last week's video over on Twitter, everybody, and if you too would like to have your name shouted out in the next Junjo Romantica video, then be sure to share this video around on the internet, and then tag me at JoJo Talks Too Much over on Twitter, and I will be sure to shout your name out in the next Junjo Romantica video. Okay, so you may have noticed that I said the next Junjo Romantica video earlier instead of just next week's Junjo Romantica video. That's because in order to get this series caught up with the seasonal series that we're doing here on the channel so that they all end around the same time, I'm gonna have to do 2 Junjo Romantica videos a week. So instead of the usual 1 video a week, you're getting 2 videos a week. So I hope you guys like that trashy yaoi goodness, because that's what we're here for. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, this is my kind of trashy. I like it. I shouldn't even say trashy, because it's not trashy, it's just kind of... it's kind of trashy, but like it's my kind of trash. Does that make any sense? Do you guys follow what I'm saying? Regardless, there's gonna be 2 videos a week for Junjo Romantica. I believe the next one should be in a few days. I'm not super sure. Regardless, hopefully you guys are excited for that if you're watching these videos, and if not, well, excuse the Junjo Romantica invasion of your subfeed. But without further ado, let's actually go ahead and talk about this week's episode. Now, we enter this episode, and Misaki and Usami, who I will be referring to as Usami, because a lot of people are like, stop calling him Akihiko, is weird. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to call him Usagi, because that's Misaki's nickname for him. I'm just going to call him Usami, so that's a little bit closer to what people wanted me to say. So, Misaki and Usami have been living together for around about a month at this point, and we sort of see the basic development of this relationship. Now, it did start off on shaky ground. I'm the first to admit that. But I do actually, I'm starting to like where their development is going. I actually kind of think it's cute how Misaki is like making him breakfast, and they made like a promise to have breakfast and dinners together. They want to have as many meals together as they can. So you kind of see this like this bond between the pair developing. And the reason why Usami says this is because he's always sort of wanted this normal family life. And I use normal family life in huge brackets because this dude is not normal. Usami is a very peculiar individual walking around. He's a grown-ass man with a cigarette in his mouth at most times of the day. And he walks around with a giant teddy bear, and he's got a room full of like kids' toys because he's trying to understand the modern family unit. Usami's an odd duck. He's just trying to wrap himself up in like typical family regalia because it helps him better write his own stories. It gives him a better idea of what the middle class family life is like. And with Misaki, he's sort of getting that more sort of like a bond between 2 people. He is getting a sort of family in a sense with Misaki, and I think that's relatively cute. Although admittedly, it's more so on Usami's end. Misaki is not generally interested in Usami's bullshit, if I'm honest. He seems pretty averse to most things regarding Usami, especially at the beginning of the episode. He's baking this man breakfast, but at the same time, he's not like impressed with him. He's not doing it because he truly cares about Usami, at least not quite yet. It's mostly just something he's doing because that's part of the deal of living with Usami, since Usami's the one both paying for his school and putting a roof over his head, so it makes sense. I do gotta say as well, it's nice to see them sort of like settling into their routine. It's part of the reason why I am sort of starting to like these two because you're starting to see how they kind of have adapted into being part of each other's lives. It's still not quite great, and I will say we gotta go ahead and put up a yikes counter. We are at yikes number 2 of the series. I'm not gonna go into any further detail. I've given my opinion on this whole consent issue with old yaoi series. I talked about that in the first video in this series, so I'm not gonna go into any further detail. Go ahead and watch that one. But yeah, it was almost a sweet moment too. Like, that's what kind of kills me, is it was almost a sweet moment, but Usami ruins it because that's what Usami does. I feel like Usami needs to go at Misaki's pace. Like, you know, like, I get that for Usami, he's like, no, but I love them. Like, they're my partner, and I love them, and I want to be around them and do things with them. But Misaki not really there yet, so it's like, I wish you would just speak words to each other, like just tell each other where you're at. But regardless, it was almost a sweet moment in the with him like surprising him and giving him like just embracing him while they're cooking. And then it gets weird, and you're like, dang it. So yeah, yikes counter, moving on. We eventually get Misaki getting dropped off at school by Usami, and everybody at the college, or I believe it's a university? Yeah, it's a university, sorry. Everybody at the university is very much, like, unimpressed with, well, not even unimpressed, they're just, like, avoiding outright Misaki. Like, they don't want anything to do with Misaki, which is weird to me. Because if that, but again, different time period, right? Different era. Because if it were me and I saw some dude getting dropped off in a sports car, I'd be like, bro, what's up with the sports car? You're hanging out with a famous author? That's cool. Want to be friends? Like, of course, you'd be like, that guy's cool. But to them, they think that guy is in a weird situation. I don't want to talk to him. And by weird, I mean he's maybe in a relationship with another dude. Which, like, nowadays is very not, like, very much a who gives a shit type of situation. But again, this was 2008. It was a wee bit different. Plus, it's a yaoi series, so you have to have that sort of tension there. So again, I was a little bit like, at first I thought maybe it was that Misaki did something stupid on his first day, which is usually the way things go in an anime. If a character's being shunned by his classmates, it's usually because they did something really stupid on the first day of school. But no, Misaki's basically being shunned by his classmates because most of the girls think there's something up, but they're too shy to ask, and most of the dudes are just avoiding him, I guess because they're being dude bros. I don't super know. But yeah, they're all basically avoiding him because of his relationship with Usami, which I think is really shitty. But there is, oh lord, there is one young man who eventually befriends Misaki, and they're both studying economics, which sounds horribly boring, but they're both studying economics in university, so they're in the same field. And this gentleman's name is Keiichi Sumi. Keiichi's name is roughly translated as Noble One, and his surname is translated as Corner, so I have nothing interesting to say about Corner, but I will say the fact that this guy's name is Noble One is gross because there ain't nothing noble about him. I'm about to get upset. Okay, so I knew this was gonna happen. You can't have a romance without a romantic rival. But for some reason, I assumed that the romantic rival was just going to be the underlying tension of the fact that Usami never really loved Misaki at first. Like, well, I shouldn't say that he never really loved Misaki, because that's not the issue. It's that he started off loving Takahiro, you know, like Misaki's brother, like that. And so you have this sort of speculation that he's really only using Misaki as a sort of replacement, and that's actually key to this episode. I thought that was going to be the love rival, but no, you get Keiichi, and oh my. Okay, so Keiichi Sumi, who I will just be referring to as Sumi, since that's how Misaki refers to him, Sumi-senpai. Sumi is, okay, he is very clearly aware of what he's doing. He is clearly trying to rile up Usami. He's trying to win over Misaki. It is so blatantly clear, but the issue is that unfortunately, Misaki is kinda stupid. I like Misaki, He's voiced by Takahiro Sakurai, so he's my boy. I will say that is probably the most interesting part of Misaki to me, is that his seiyuu is Sakurai, who is voicing nowadays stuff like Reagan, Rohan, Fitzgerald, Ayame, Cloud from Final Fantasy VII. It's just, Misaki's so very different. 2008 was a very different time. Still though, Misaki does have that underlying stupidity that those other characters have, and it's only after hearing Usami talk on the phone with Takahiro that Misaki starts to put two and two together that he might be the rebound, which is like, duh, but it took him that long to piece that shit together. And then he gets this like new senpai type character who is like looking out for him and like trying to help him out at school, even though the guy clearly wants something from him. Like, he's clearly trying to steal him away from Usami. He's basically just there to be a home wrecker. And Misaki doesn't see this. Misaki doesn't consider to maybe talk to Usami about his feelings, where he's at, because again, Misaki's a good boy, but kind of stupid. And this leads, of course, to the big moment where Sumi and Usami face off. They basically have Misaki run over to this group of friends who are like, hey, we're going to a mixer, you guys better come with us. And then Sumi tells Misaki to go tell them that they're going on a date. And he says this right in front of Usami because he knows that it will rile up Usami, and they have this stare off. And this man says that he read one of Usami's books recently, and Usami's like, oh, well, thank you very much. And you could just tell he's like unimpressed with this kid. And Usami fires back, yeah, I read it, but I'm real sorry. I think I'm just too stupid. I didn't really get it. And he says it like with a raised brow to be like, your book's stupid, and I didn't actually give a shit. I was bored reading it. And this, of course, riles up Usami, but he's keeping it together. He's holding it together. And then Misaki starts throwing it in his face. He says some really uncalled for mean shit. And Usami just gets fed up, throws Misaki in the car, they drive home. And this is where you get the big moment of the episode, right? Where Usami is genuinely shocked to see Misaki get emotional once they get back home, because this is where Misaki just like unloads his feelings. The dude just explains everything that his heart is feeling right now. He explains that he's feeling mixed signals from Usami. He feels like he's just being used as a stand-in. He doesn't understand his own feelings right now, and he really is upset and even a little jealous that Usami still seems to be so fixated on Takahiro. And I do think that's something that Usami needs to work on. Let me stress that this is still a couple in development. Like, they're not a fully fledged couple to me quite yet. I do ship it because I know eventually it will likely get to a place where I can ship it, but right now it's more of a very shaky ship. It's not even really a ship for me right now. It's like one of the dressers in the Titanic. Technically it works, but you can take those building blocks and actually build a ship out of it if you so choose. So I feel like we're heading to a ship. Right now, it's not quite there yet, because it's, again, very human. They need to work on themselves. They need to work on the relationship itself. They need to work on building each other up, as well as fixing the issues that they have with themselves. It's a slow build. And I do feel like Usami, first of all, needs to work on just slowing the hell down and maybe, taking the relationship at Misaki's level, as well as maybe coming to grips with his own feelings about Takahiro, and maybe respecting the fact that, it sort of makes Misaki a little bit jealous and kind of sad when he sees Usami get so excited to talk to Takahiro. And likewise, Misaki needs to respect the fact that Usami really does care about him, and maybe he shouldn't be running around with some dude he just met and being all flirtatious right in front of the guy. Maybe a little bit uncool. Also, another thing that Usami needs to work on, because if you can't tell, Usami's the one who needs to work on the most stuff, but Usami needs to work on boundaries. My boy needs to let Misaki go out and hang out with friends. You don't always have to have dinner together all the time. You should try to have dinner together all the time, but it shouldn't be the priority and nothing else comes before it. If Misaki wants to go hang out with his friends at a mixer, he should be allowed to do so. There should be a mutual understanding that one isn't going to cheat on the other. You know what I'm saying? A lot of building in the future of this relationship, but I do think it's possible. And again, Usami explaining that he is interested in Misaki now, that, yeah, he loved Takahiro, but after he saw Misaki cry over something that didn't involve him at all, he kind of realized, like, oh shit, this is the person for me. Like, you're the one. And I was like, oh, that's very sweet. And then they do the horizontal hustle because, of course, they do. You get 2 in this episode. My goodness. And then we get the post-credit scene for the episode where we see Usami-sensei's Fua Fua Omelet Special Deluxe, which is the weirdest looking omelet I have ever seen. And I actually feel bad for Misaki that he probably had to eat that. But at the same time, Misaki's realizing, like, wait, he made this for me? Like, maybe as an apology? And you do get an apology, which, again, I appreciate. Both characters apologize to each other, and it's nice and sweet and yada yada. But again, still a long way to go. However, the PV for the next episode shows the second couple. Now, from what you guys had said in the comments, which I think the last Junjo Romantica video was the last time I actually read the comments, which is interesting. But from what I saw in the comments, a lot of people are excited for the second couple, so I'm actually really excited to see them, since a lot of people seem to all agree that the second couple is the strongest couple. So looking forward to next week, or actually not even next week, the next episode a few days from now. With that said, everybody, I'm going to wrap up my thoughts here. Question of the day today: if you were given Usami Senpai's Fua Fua Omelet Special Deluxe, would you eat it? Genuine question. And that's gonna do it for today's video, everybody. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, then by all means hitting that like button and leaving a comment down below is a great way to help out this channel, as it pleases the almighty YouTube algorithm. So if you choose to do so, kudos to you. And if you're feeling extra supportive today, you can go ahead and check out all the links in the description. One goes to my Twitter, another one is to our Discord server, another one to our merch store if you feel like grabbing yourself a mug, and of course, our Patreon page. And speaking of the Patreon page, I do want to give a big thank you to those of you in the T Squadron who support this channel month to month. Let's go ahead and do the Earl Grey shoutouts. Izevi, Andrew W, Branson C, Bria Rose, Calvin A, Crowbar of Irony, Daniel G, Digger the Fox, Dominic G, Emily, Ionos, Urza, Ginkotaku, Godzilla Fan, No For Nothing, Maria T, Marshall B, Mater, Mirth Mouser, Cell, Shadow Creative, Stephen G, Sakochi, The Suavest Orange, Tristan G, and Veridon. Thanks so much for your continued support over on Patreon, everybody, and if you too would like to join the T Squadron, then be sure to check out the first link in the description to check out our Patreon page. That is a huge way to support the channel. And again, be sure to check out the other stuff in the Discord as well. Go join our Discord. It is now public. You can all join. Everybody can hop in the Discord. Follow me on Twitter if you want me to ramble at you even more. And until next time, you stay classy, AnyTube, and wash your dang hands.